Be sure to subscribe for your chance to win a custom leather playmat when we hit 2,500 subscribers. Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. Here we have Ben on Burn versus Andraj on lands. That is a super difficult matchup for Andraj, who's undefeated up until this point in the tournament, as is Ben. Burn, one of those decks that's really accessible to everybody. 3 damage to the face. I've actually sold a couple of copies of Burn to people, thanks to the incredible prize support that Fee has donated to these events. We're seeing a significant uptick in people that would not normally give tournament play a go, but I think they'll find that they'll have a lot of fun playing against these powerful decks with incredible door prizes. Eidolon of the Great Revels is going to punish all of Andraj's future plays, and Ben's not going to really care too much about the damage that he's taking, which is 4 damage. However, he's able to swing for 6, and he's going to return one of those lands to hand with the Wayward Guidebeast and replay it. Life from the Loam for no value, just to get it into the graveyard. Oh no, it's revealed to Goblin Guide. Okay, so he plays a Glacial Chasm. Life from the Loam has not been played. He is just showcasing it as it has been revealed by Goblin Guide. He'll have to take 2 damage here. And he may have a chance. Let's see here. 4, 6. It's pretty close. So he's taken 2 damage off of this. No, I don't believe Andraj has much of a chance here. It's going to be pretty difficult. He can copy Glacial Chasm with Thespian Stage, but it doesn't look like this is quite going to line up. There are certain lines where that'll happen. Glacial Chasm is let go. He's facing down 4 damage. And Urborg would be ideal here. Would make a 20/20 and be a blocker. Urborg allowing Dark Depths to tap for mana. Otherwise, Andraj is going to be a mana shy of making a 20/20, and he's actually going to pack it in here. As we are on to game number 2, Burn. Coming out too fast, and that Wayward Guidebeast is a new addition. We'll see if that ends up being worth playing. We've had a whole bunch of options this year, which I think is excellent. Burn, an established archetype, but we still have cards that are getting printed that are not obvious whether or not they're going to make the cut. We had Chandra's Incinerator just a couple of sets ago, and now this Wayward Guidebeast, another Goblin Guide that potentially allows you to reuse your lands in situations where you're, say, stuck on 2 lands. You can actually kind of generate mana off of it. Also makes cards like Searing Blaze potentially better, as you'll have more access to the landfall trigger or landfall condition. Is it landfall? What is it called on Searing Blaze? Do they actually call it the same thing? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, as I said it out loud, I was like, that actually is a weird mechanic, because landfall is a trigger that happens when a land enters the battlefield, but in Searing Blaze, it's just if a land has entered the battlefield this turn instead. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I wonder if they would have worded it that way if they were able to redo it at this point. That does seem a little weird that landfall is a triggered ability that happens on some cards. And then it also is a condition for other cards. Mox Diamond, leading out Andrage with some acceleration, pitching a Wasteland, which can be very important versus... Oh, Dark Confidant. The type of acceleration can really speed things up. Wasteland can be very important in getting rid of your own lands and respond to Price of Progress when you're talking about like a control deck. But lands really doesn't have that option. You're pretty much just going to have to let that happen. We've got a Goblin Guide. It's not getting blocked. Dark Confidant reveals a Mazavith. And this could be a very fast game. We've already got the Thespian Stage and the Dark Depths. And a Sphere of Resistance. Another land. Is that a Godzilla land? Monastery Swiftspear. Send in for 2. Another Sphere of Resistance revealed. I mean, at least it's not chill. It's pretty bad. I remember going to early tournaments way back in the day at Your Move Games in Providence, thinking I had solved the meta, building a mono red deck because it absolutely snuffed out the premier decks at the time, which were Rebels and Fires. Like, those were just the 2 best decks according to everything I read online. And I showed up with a mono red deck to a room full of other decks besides what you'd expect, talking about blue-white control, black-blue, Nethergo. Control deck back then running Counterspell, Chill, Teferi's Moat. I mean, it was absolutely outrageous how badly I lost to like a board full of board full of Chills and Teferi's Moats. Couldn't attack with my creatures. My spells cost like 6 more mana, and Light and Tutor to pull it all together. Vanilla counter spells, Absorb. It was a pretty severe beating, and a little bit of a lesson in terms of like the idea of metagaming, the idea of trying to figure out what everyone else is going to be playing. It's like you should probably just build the objectively most powerful deck, and because sometimes you're going to be wrong about what everyone's going to be playing. You might be wrong about what the best deck is. That's possible, but in general, if you're trying to win, in my experience, it has been best to just play whatever the actual best deck is. And a lot of the times you can play it better than people expect. I mean, when Affinity was the best deck, I can tell you for certain that everybody thought that they had built a deck that could beat Affinity. And that's because their buddy was the one playing Affinity. It wasn't the guy that's been winning your local tournaments. It wasn't the guy that's made the Pro Tour. It wasn't, when you make it to the Pro Tour, even if you've been practicing against other players, like you get deeper into the tournament and there's just a different level of player. And it was definitely the case that people were surprised just by how much different it was. It's, you give a guitar to a musician versus somebody that just kind of plays around with it. It's a big difference. There are little nuances that you aren't going to discover on your own. One of the great things about competition and, having a great team is another option. But for me, I've always preferred to do the tournament route. I find that people play their best when there's something on the line, which is a big part of what we're doing here. The $10 entry fee, 100% given back as store credit. But then, of course, we have those incredible prizes donated by fee, over $3,000, I believe it is. We've got a Gaia's Cradle, Underground Sea. It's just incredible. This Goblin Guide, pushing through 2 damage. It's Once Upon a Time. It's going to try and pull together the combo fast enough versus Burn, but it is a big ask, as Burn's got the play with kind of their ideal opening. Goblin Guide. It's a card that a lot of Burn players try to avoid playing at first, just because, it lets your opponent draw a card when they hit a land. and it just doesn't feel particularly exciting to a lot of beginning players. Drawbacks, a lot of the time, you can turn them into an advantage, and sometimes they're just worth it. And in Burn, Goblin Guide is just a card where the drawback is actually worth it. It is a legitimate problem to give your opponent that land, but for a 2/2 hasty body for only 1 red, I mean, it's good enough that Ben's actually trying to run even more copies of Goblin Guide with those new beasts, which we'll see if those end up being worth it. Now, this is a very good start here. Exploration and Mox Diamond, just an incredibly good opening here for lands. Monastery Swiftspear and Chain Lightning. And just like that, land's going to be down to 11. These are 2 pretty much ideal openings. We'll see if Andrade is able to finish this out with the Thespian stage. Dark Confidant off the top of the deck. It's at least a body. It can trade with the Goblin Guide. Considering the use of his mana here. Looking at his graveyard, does he have Life from the Loam? There would be a faster way to dig for that Thespian stage. Double Lightning Bolt and Fire Blast. GG. Just like that. The Monastery Swiftspear, not blocked, and the extra prowess deals lethal damage. Ben flips up the Fairy Macabre. Just to show, still got all these. Even if you had the Life from the Loam going, it wasn't going to be good enough, as Ben takes out lands in spectacular fashion. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.